This week's episode is brought to you by Capital Financial Advisory Group for all your retirement needs.
Broadcasting from coast to coast, it's the Financial Safari with your host, Coach Pete D'Arruda. You'll hear from some of the nation's top financial professionals. So stick around and find out how to make it through the jungle of the financial world, right here on the Financial Safari.
Welcome to Financial Safari. Hope you're having a great weekend. Thanks so much for joining us. You've got Gregg, Berrian, Capital Financial and Insurance. I'm Jackie Selby, your consumer advocate, here with Dave Perkins, senior consumer advocate, and we're talking about retirement. Can you absolutely imagine that we are talking about retirement on this show, Financial Safari?
No.
Greg, no. I know you're busy this time of the year because you sure do write a lot of business for folks who are getting their Medicare and
Obamacare, and then also taking care of the folks that are looking for retirement planning. It's
you're putting a lot of miles on the car.
I get cranky in November.
You do?
You do tend to be a little cranky, but you're busy. You're busy.
No, a little cranky. I'm a really cranky
No, you're
person.
really not cranky. Greg's a nice guy.
But folks, don't worry. If you call us up, I will not be cranky to you, I promise.
And then you decided on top of that to try keto and lose a few pounds going into Christmas.
And on top of that, remodel my kitchen all at the same time. I'm not the smartest guy in the world when it comes to life planning.
That way,
stay busy,
fellow,
stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
But you know, we were talking off air about questions people have before entering retirement. It's really like a whole new phase of its own in your financial life, and even longer now. So obviously there are a lot of questions that come up.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people can be retired 40 years. Yeah. It's like the other day, one of my guys called me up, and he's been with me on the ACA for at least 6 years, and he's been retired all 6 years. I said, "How old are you now, dude?" He goes, "Oh, I'm 49." It's like,
what?
Yeah, he's like light years away from Medicare. He's been retired since he was in his mid-40s.
How does one do this?
Well, he's single.
Oh.
Okay. Single, no kids. That doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
And he just he made a lot of money, invested it well, and now he's living the life, man. He's living large. Good guy.
Speaking of investing, it's a different strategy with that too when you retire. That's another question people have is, how should I invest my money when I retire?
Yeah. So like, when I look at this guy who's like in his 40s, for the most part, you cannot take your money out of a 401k. I mean, there are ways of getting it out without the penalty, but it's a much more difficult process. It's just different. However, the average person who retires at our age, okay?
Are you looking at me? Why are you looking in my direction? Am I looking like a retirement age person?
Financial red zone.
Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. And we start looking at where our money is, and we say, "Gosh, is this in the right spot?" All of a sudden, it's so funny when you come in, I'm going to do a full-blown retirement report for you. And when I do that, there's going to be a little round circular graph, and all the money that's in the red bucket will be represented by red. And more often than not, when I hit the enter button and I show it to you, sometimes you have 95 to 98% of that thing in the red. And that's when folks go, "Wow, I think I made a mistake. I think we need to make some changes."
Yes.
Because they realize, like, let's say you had $500,000, all righty, and you need to take out $25,000 a year out of that. And all of a sudden, that $500,000 went down to $300,000. Could it happen? Absolutely. Has it happened? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could it happen to you? Probably. So you still want to take out that $25,000 so you can maintain that standard of living that you had. Mm-hmm. But $25,000 from $500,000 and $25,000 from $300,000 is a big difference. Mm-hmm. You will run out of money. That's why you have to find a piece of that retirement, and you have to put it in something that's got insured with a hard floor of zero. It cannot go below it. Mm-hmm. It can't go below zero. Sometimes, some of these guys out there in the big box retailers, they'll put stops and things like that on there, but this is a true hard floor of zero, whereas you take advantage of the gains of the market, you take advantage of the market runs up, you run up with it. When the market goes crashing down, you just kind of like duck for cover and just
Hunker
wait for it, wait for the wave to pass.
Yeah, principal's protected.
Principal, no, not your principal and your earnings.
And your earnings are protected.
hey.
Yeah. So let's
Okay.
say you start with 500,000, went up to 600,000. All of a sudden, there's a correction in the market. You still have $600,000.
What if someone is going into retirement? Can they refinance their retirement in a way?
Refinance it.
Yeah. Say they have an annuity that they took out a long time ago. Is there a way to refinance that?
If there's an old annuity, there's a really good chance that you might want to consider moving it, because the older annuities aren't nearly as good as the newer ones. They don't have the same strategies that the newer ones have. Some of the benefits, we got some ridiculously awesome benefits in some of these strategies, and the older ones, nah. If I can move an older annuity, I almost always move it, especially if it's a variable annuity. The other day, some folks sat down and they were with me, and they're saying, yeah, we have this strategy here, and I went, okay, great. I looked at it, I said, I identified the company. I said, this is probably a variable annuity. They went, okay. I said, generally speaking, you're going to pay 3.5%. Around 3 to 3.5% in fees on that. They go, really? Oh, okay. I said, well, would you like to know exactly how much you're paying? They went, well, yeah. Well, how do we do it? We can't do it, can we? I said, I can do it as long as you're with me. So we called them up. And I said, yes, hello. I introduced myself, and I said, I'm with these nice folks, and we want to know what our fees are. And the first thing they always talk about is something called M&E, okay, which is mortality and expense. And they throw that out there. Oh yeah, that's 1.5%. I went, 1.5%. Okay. Silence. Are you going to make me? Are you going to make me?
You had to ask another question.
Okay, what are your fees on, what are any riders? Oh, we have this rider and this rider. Silence. Okay. What about any other fees? Oh yeah, we have this other one. They kept on adding them on, and all of a sudden I went, wow, I was wrong. I'm sorry. We got off the phone. They're nice people. You're paying 4.5% in fees.
Wow.
Man.
Found out though.
Yeah. And they went, whoa. They didn't even know it. I said, that's why this hasn't grown. I said, because all your earnings you're giving right back, a good portion, you're giving half your earnings to the company, if not more.
Do you like variable annuities? How do you feel about that in general?
Yeah. You think you'd figure that out by now. I'm not that.
You're not a fan.
I'm not a fan of the variable annuity. Well, first of all, it doesn't belong in the green bucket. It belongs in the red bucket, because it truly is. It is like whereas an index annuity, it monitors the indices and it mirrors the indices and it goes up with the indices. However, a variable annuity is in the program. It's in that particular stock. It's in that particular index. And if that goes down, then you go down. All right. Whereas if it's only mirroring it, if it goes down, you don't go down at all.
Right.
Okay.
So it's not just a matter of, hey, Siri, is it time for me to retire? Can I retire, Siri? Or, hey, Alex, it's retirement for 1,000. You really do have to sit down with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah. And we gotta, we have to talk about
That's next.
pensions, right? Coming right up.
Yes, we have pensions. We have strategy du jour. We're going to have a good time. If you'd like to reach out to Gregg, the number's on the screen. Use that, but stick with us.
Memories with Grandpa.
My first job.
My fourth job.
Crazy road trips.
Our first date. Meeting our son.
Exploring our world.
Our world. Family and friends. Our special song.
Secure your retirement by meeting with a financial advisor.
The Financial Safari News Network presents Brokers Behaving Badly.
Being committed to your work is generally thought of as a good thing. That is, unless you're Gerald Eaton, who was very committed to fleecing clients out of more than $3.7 million over a 10-year period. Now that's commitment. So, what did he do?
I am the U.S. Attorney in Massachusetts. Between 1999 and 2019, he stole close to $4 million in client money by moving the proceeds from the sale of securities and insurance policies in his clients' accounts to accounts that he owned or controlled.
I forged clients' signatures on checks and other financial documents.
The website, patch.com, says
Eaton worked as a certified financial planner doing business under the name Heritage Financial Group.
I was also an associate person of Commonwealth Financial Network from March 95 to October 2019. It's a long time.
The SEC says an administrative proceeding document announced that it barred Eaton from the industry in connection with his guilty plea. FINRA barred him in late 2019 over allegations that he failed to provide documents for the industry's self-regulator's investigation of claims that he was discharged because he fraudulently facilitated distributions from clients' accounts without their knowledge or consent or for their benefit.
Was that illegal? Oops, I'm sorry. I plead guilty.
20 years in prison, 3 years supervised probation, and a fine of up to $250,000.
Just one more reason to make sure you're dealing with a true fiduciary. And don't be afraid to ask them to prove it.
Go to yourmoneydesk.com. We have a treasure trove of resources on the site where you can explore concepts like this and just get to know your own retirement a little bit better as you head into it.
One other site is retirementhelpcenter.com.
Yes,
we'll put them on the screen here, retirementhelpcenter.com. Videos, we try to keep them 4 minutes or less.
We do.
Because attention spans these days are about 4 minutes or less. And so, but they explain about anything you could ever thought of. We've done them on like everything from crypto to safe money to risk money to retirement income.
Both of these sites now have multiple calculators on them, so be sure to head over to yourmoneydesk.com.
Retirementhelpcenter.com.
The average retirement age in America is 62. The question is, when is the right time for me? When choosing your retirement start date, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. On your way to retirement, there are a few things you should keep in mind. What kind of lifestyle do you want in retirement? Your habits and hobbies could determine the amount of money you need.
We have folks that, are living on, $2,000 or $3,000 a month and they're completely happy. We have some folks that are withdrawing, larger amounts. Well, like we were talking about in a former conversation when they're withdrawing 7, 8, 9% and have a plan in place where they're doing that. And there's a lot of assumptions that go along with that. And that assumption is the market's just going to go up and up and up and up and up. So, there's been some real pitfalls that I've seen in some plans that are out there where someone comes in and says, hey, I'm a little bit concerned where we are. And our belief is a major concern is longevity risk. Do we want to get into our 70s or 80s? People are living longer. Do you want to hit 80, 85 years old and run out of money?
The beauty of retirement is that you can do whatever you want to. But here's something to consider. Will you need to work longer to build up your retirement savings? Can you handle the risk of keeping some money in the stock market?
There's nothing wrong with having money in the market. Where people make the most mistakes is when they get in and when they get out, or how they get in and how they get out. So that's why it's vitally important to have a true investment plan set up, customized for you and your family, your wants, your desires, your fears. Because the one thing that damages people most in the stock market is buying high because they have the fear of missing out, and selling low because they have the fear of losing. They're already lost, and you sell down, you lock in your losses. So the magic of the market is to buy low and sell high. Get in and get out with more. If you're getting out with less, you have the wrong strategy. So make sure you have the right strategy. And what we've seen in the market, as long as it's a legitimate stock, over time, that stock usually comes back. But once it comes back, or if you have a good gain, the best time to get out of a stock is when you have a big gain. So you're not up until you're out. Get out of the stock with a gain, and then never look back.
You've taken the time and established the kind of life you want in retirement. Now the question is this: when is the best time for you to retire? According to a recent survey, the younger investors are, the younger they think they'll retire. There are some things to consider if you decide before the age of 65.
And my opinion is, if you can, do it. The problem with retiring early is, number one, you're not working anymore. You're not earning that working income. Number two, you're probably going to live a longer life with less income because you retired early. But if you have enough money put aside and you have a true income plan, you can retire early because you know what your income's going to be. You need that growth protection income account that helps your money grow, protects your growth, gives you lifetime income. Once you have that established, retirement's a piece of cake.
Now, if you've made it to 65 and you qualify for Medicare, maybe you'll want to wait another couple of years for full Social Security benefits to kick in.
I talk to some people almost every day who don't want to retire. Therefore, they're working to past age 65 to 70 sometimes. The advantages of that, they're not digging into their retirement account because they're still working. The disadvantages are when they decide to retire, one of the things, I'm 55 now, one of the things I've learned as I get older, I can do less. I can still do what I want, but my mind tells me I don't want to do it. So the younger you are, the more you're going to enjoy that travel in retirement. So if you want to travel, the first 10 to 15 years of retirement is when you should do all the fun things because there's no guarantees in life. The day you wake up today could be the last healthy day, so make sure you treat it that way and do everything you want to do when you can do it.
Maybe you've got an enjoyable job and you can continue working into your 70s. There are different rules for your retirement money if you decide to wait.
I talk to people who are still working past age 70. Now, one of the disadvantages of that is your Social Security is not growing anymore. It stops growing at age 70. It's still there, it's not growing anymore. So if you worked from 65 to 70 to give that money the time to grow, because it grows about 8% per year, your benefit, but once you reach 70, there's no benefit to working anymore unless you like to work. I talk to people almost every day who are happy where they are and don't ever plan on retiring. But if that's not your piece of cake, then retiring at 70 is probably the ultimate goal because you've got the full growth of the Social Security. You probably had a lot more time to build your retirement accounts, and now you can live the dream you always wanted to live in retirement.
Sometimes the unexpected happens. If you're forced to retire early, are you prepared for success?
Unfortunately, in the world we live in, there's many times where people show up to work and they're told they're not needed anymore. Call that forced retirement. They call it early retirement. It sounds nice. It's not nice. You're being forced out. So the people that are successful are the ones that plan ahead for something like this to happen. That's why we like to get that checklist out and check off all the things that could happen and make sure our plan can sustain that. So the magic here is to start saving for retirement as early as possible and get a plan that you know is going to give you that lifetime income. Therefore, if your boss tells you you're not wanted anymore, you're already set to go. You're ready to hit that finish line and celebrate life. But if you don't have money put aside, that could be the worst time of your life.
Whether it's now or later, the best investment you can make is taking an active role in your financial future. Be proactive and get involved with your money.
We've all encountered that fast-talking salesman, whether it's buying a car, maybe a new house, and it can be very overwhelming. I'm consumer advocate Thomas Lipscomb. I'm here with best-selling author, Coach Pete D'Arruda. I'm excited to discuss this book. We're going to be discussing one of your books, Fine Print Fiasco.
Yep.
Now, may I ask, what inspired you to write this book? Did you have a particular situation, maybe with a timeshare or buying a car, where you just thought, this doesn't feel right?
Well, you may ask anything you want, Thomas, by the way. No, I mean, I talk to folks, I'm in the financial arena now 31 years. Wow. And so talking to folks every single day, and there seem to be the same problems that existed with a lot of folks. The same dirty tricks were played on a lot of different people. So I took notes, and I found all the warning signs, or all the ones that I identified, and all the dirty tricks that are played, and put them in a book. So now you understand if you're hearing a certain thing, alarm bells should start going off. Mm-hmm. We show you what to look out for when you're buying a car, buying a house, getting a new mortgage. A financial guy's trying to sell you a variable annuity. All the reasons why you should not touch a variable annuity. There are some other ones, other annuities, the cousins, that are a lot better than variable when your money is not at risk and there are no financial termites. Risk, fees, commission.
Absolutely. Wise words. Again, we're here with best-selling author Coach Pete D'Arruda discussing his book, Fine Print Fiasco. To find out more or to get a copy of the audiobook, just visit fineprintfiasco.com and stay tuned because we have more content on the way.
This is Joe. Joe has a steady job, a house, and a family, but he doesn't know his retirement plan sucks.
Really?
He's paying high brokerage fees, and his retirement savings is not safe or protected. Joe might be screwed, but he doesn't have to be. Contact us today for your no-cost, no-obligation retirement review and second opinion package.
Do you hear that? That's me enjoying my retirement. traveling around the world to play golf where I want, when I want, with whomever I want. Even got some customized clubs. Because years ago, I rolled over my IRA with the help of a local trusted advisor. Contact us to get started today. This is a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review to help educate and enlighten.
Hey, welcome back to Financial Safari. You've got Gregg Berrian from Capital Financial and Insurance, Jackie Selby, your consumer advocate, and Dave Perkins, senior consumer advocate. We only say that just for ribbing purposes at this point in time, because really I think Gregg, who had a birthday over the summer, is really the senior person here on the panel.
Yes, I am.
You are the senior and the senior expert.
Yeah.
Yes, well, you're the true expert, that's for sure. Now, we were talking about retirement for 1,000, Alex, and we had some questions, and we've been posing these things to you during the show today. What about the pension? Should I take my pension as an annuity or a lump sum?
Well, can everybody do that?
Well, people, I want to make sure, first of all, pension is pension and IRA money is IRA money. The two shall not meet. They're very, very different.
Right.
Very few people have pensions anymore. Okay, that's defined benefit. Very, the people that have them are people that work for the post office, federal government, state, county, things like that. Whereas people that are in industry, okay, work for a corporation, they don't have pensions anymore. They got rid of those years ago.
Darn it.
So folks who end up with a pension, it's outstanding. It's great. And should you take it or should you transfer it? That's the biggest question. Now, one of the things that we have to ask about that is, first of all, is legacy important to you? Do you want to leave money behind? Okay, number one. Number two, are you married? That's a second question. Because if you are married and you do decide to take your pension, you need to take it out on both lives, not just your own. Because if you die, if you take your pension out and you do it on your own life and you pass away, the pension gets buried with you. Okay?
Okay, it's gone.
It's gone. No longer ceases to exist.
This is actually a good lead into what you're going to get into.
Yeah, we're going.
We're there.
Amazing, huh? Whereas if you include your spouse and then you die, then your spouse will continue. Granted, the amount of money will be a less amount, but at least that money will continue. Now the question is should I do it at all? Some folks, when I run the numbers, I'll look and I'll say, well, holy cow, based on the amount of money that this pension is worth and what you're going to be getting around 8% out of that. That's really, really good. However, it may not be so good if you decide that you want to make sure that let's say it's $400,000. You want to make sure that money continues, some kind of money continues on to the family and a legacy, not just your spouse. So that's when you have to decide, okay, what works best for us? Because if you really want that money in your legacy, and some people are just so zeroed in on legacy and how much money that you want to give to your kids and grandkids that initiating a pension is not necessarily a good idea, but moving it over, rolling it over, which continues on for generation after generation. Well, actually only one generation because the Secure Act will chew it all up after that. But something that goes on for at least one more generation beyond your spouse is important. And a lot of people are choosing to do that because
something to look at.
Because you don't know. Let's say you turn on your pension and you're driving down the street with your wife. Next thing you know, boom, you're both gone. It happens. It happens, and unfortunately it happens. So therefore, that's why a lot of people are choosing to move that pension.
Well, speaking of that,
okay,
we have a special guest.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we do.
Another special guest. We'll have to do a little magic here.
Okay.
And bring about fictional Francis.
Francis! Now, this is part of our strategy du jour that we are continuing after last week. We had fictional Frank.
That's right. And Francis, hello.
Francis, you're so cute.
Well, hi, Greg. Thanks for having me on the show. I've got a pretty important question to ask you.
You do? Okay. Well, first of all, are you related to Frank?
No relation that I know of.
Oh, okay. All right. So continue on, please.
So my husband worked for the post office for 30 years, and he had a pension that he took on his own life, but he passed away recently, and I'm 70. I'm wondering, what do I do for money now?
Okay, now that was an unfortunate choice, Francis. Unfortunately, because of course, when you buried your husband, you buried the pension with him. Was there any other assets left behind for you?
Yes, about $700,000.
700,000. Okay, so that's like in the form of an IRA?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so with that, it's kind of funny, Francis. We just happen to have the magic of computers.
Right. It sounds like this is salvageable.
This is salvageable. Now, I think Jackie told me you're already getting about $3,000 a month on your Social Security. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. So basically, we're looking to meet some kind of an income gap there. And so, how much do you spend on a monthly basis? Just curious.
To get by, I'd need about $40,000 a year.
$40,000 a year. So we're coming up a little short there with just the $3,000 on the Social Security. So what we're looking is we need to actually create a plan that we can do something with that money that's going to give you guaranteed money for the rest of your life. How's that sound?
Oh, I could just give you a big kiss if you could do that for me.
Another incentive
I've
for you.
never kissed a cartoon.
It was the first
You've
time
never kissed a puppet?
Okay. So Francis, this is what we can do. We can move that $700,000 into a strategy. Now, here's what I love about this. This is guaranteed. This is insured and guaranteed for you for the rest of your life. And you're going to start off with have an annual income of about $46,550. How's that sound?
Oh, that sounds great.
Isn't that awesome? I mean, that's more than you really actually need. So, however, here's what I love about this, Francis. Most people on a pension that we were talking about earlier, let's say you're getting a $3,000 a month pension when you're 50 and you turn 80 and your pension is still $3,000 a month. That's kind of a drag. Okay, basically, it doesn't work with inflation. This is going to work with inflation. So every time that your plan went up, every time the indices went up, you're going to make more money. How's that sound?
That sounds great. How do I do this?
Okay, so the next year it'll turn into $49,000 a year.
Wow.
And the year after that, it'll be $64,000 a year. The year after that, $73,000.
Wow, Franny.
Do I have your attention, Francis?
You sure do. I didn't think that there was any way to figure this out.
Now, here's the cool part about this, Francis. Okay, now, at one point in time, you are going to get to actually $103,802 a year.
I don't even have any words. I'm speechless.
Now, this is where it gets pretty cool. You're going to run out of money.
Oh.
The account runs out of money, Francis.
Okay.
But here's the thing. You're going to keep getting that $103,802 for the rest of your life.
Because it's insured.
Wow.
Until the day you die. That's awesome, isn't it?
Gregg, Berrian. If I were in a cartoon.
You're her hero.
You really are. Thank you, Gregg.
Let's give me a high five. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let Gregg Berrian be your hero. You could do what Franny did. Go ahead and call the number on your screen. Reach out to us here at Financial Safari. Have a great weekend.